So I divide photography into one of two categories, at or with. At photography is when it feels like you're looking at something. So the event, person, place, animal, party, product, whatever, you're looking at that thing. Okay, hold up for 1 second. Isn't that the entire point of photography? Like, it's every image ever, right? And that's where this gets super awesome, because there is something else, and I call it with. Here's the photograph I took at the very beginning of this video. Up until this second, you probably weren't even considering that there was an unmanned camera in an empty bedroom filming me right now. And that's what with photographs do. They cause you to think about the photograph itself, the photographer, or the process of photography. Here's what I mean. This is a photograph by McCaw of the sun. What he does is he points his camera directly at the sun with the shutter open for hours and hours and hours. And the result is the most overexposed photograph in history. The lens of the camera actually works like a magnifying glass to burn the path of the sun through the photograph as it's taking the image. So yes, there's a landscape and it's the sun, but what you're thinking about when you're in front of it is the paper itself and this whole process of photography and time. Another great example is Markus Brunett. This is a pretty straightforward photograph of a lake that he took, but then after it's developed, he soaks the photograph in water he's collected from that actual lake for days, weeks, or months. And so the water itself, perhaps biological materials or pollution, I don't know, begins to degrade that photograph over time. So yes, it's a photograph of a lake technically, but that's not what you're looking at or thinking about when you're standing in front of it. You're thinking about the actual water and its effect on that paper and process. It doesn't have to be about the paper itself. One of my all-time favorites, Barbara Probst, takes multiple images of the same thing with multiple cameras at the exact same time. So she has a radio control where she hits all the cameras simultaneously, right? So your eye spends more time between each of the photographs than on the subject of the photograph. And often you can see in the images a camera that is taking one of the images. And so the place you end up, like in your mind, is not on the subject, but in her studio. It feels like you're not looking at something, but you're looking with her. And that's probably the primary separation and difference. It's not an intellectual thing. It's where you feel you are when you're looking at an image. Do you feel like you're in the image, like you've fallen past the frame looking at an actual thing, or do you feel yourself kind of stepping back, aware that you're in a gallery and aware that it's a photograph and the process of that image? So to keep it like totally real with you, these are things I just made up. And all the categories and how to look are things I made up, but they're things I use when I take notes, shorthand when I go around the galleries to remember things. And because most photographs ever are at photographs, I usually don't write at down unless it is epically at. Here's what I mean. Thomas Damon, I've talked about him before, but not through this window. He builds models out of paper, 100% construction paper, and then photographs that model and then destroys the model, so it only ever exists as a photograph. And he's got to get you initially to forget all of that. In order for this illusion to be cool, like when you see it at first, you cannot think about him or the paper or the process. You got to get sucked into this world. It has to be epically at on purpose. Or Markus Brunetti. This is a photograph of the facade of a cathedral, and it's huge. Like, here's a basketball for scale. It is also highly digitally manipulated. And so how he made it is he took hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photographs up close of the facade of this cathedral and then digitally stitched them all back together into a complete whole. The result is a higher resolution than you could get on any photograph ever, and it's from a perspective that is impossible to achieve in person. And so his kind of goal is to get you to appreciate and look at the facade of this cathedral even more than you could in person. Epically at. And once you start thinking about photographs through this lens, the world can get like weird and bizarre. For example, this is an art history book that I use obviously a lot, and there's no paintings or sculptures in the art history book. They're all photographs. That's a photograph of a painting, and whoever the photographer is, uncredited, their entire goal was for you to forget that it's a photograph, to be at that painting and forget about the process of photography. And then, like, weirder still are representations of photographs. And so in that book, in this entire video, that Chris McCaw I showed you is not a Chris McCaw. It's a photograph of a Chris McCaw. And so the only way you can get the width right is in person. I guess the takeaway from all of this is to see photographs in person. As much as paintings and sculptures, they are different in person, subtly, but different than a re-represented photograph of them. And that is the only place in a museum or gallery where you will actually feel the at or the with. Thank you again, seriously, for watching. If you want to make me feel good, hit the like button. Man, that makes my day, every single one. If you want to make you feel good, hit the subscribe button, because I'm trying to have one of these come out every month on a different subject. And please share with your friends on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. It would be cool to get a lot more people watching and being a part of this conversation. In the first 2 episodes, I had a contest at the end where you could win a t-shirt. Please be quiet. I needed 20 contributions in 2 months, and I didn't get it. But for those who contributed, I know it was hard, and like, you're trendsetters and whatnot, and you're so awesome that every single one of you is winning a t-shirt. So if your name's up here, that means you commented by the time I made this video, and you win a free t-shirt in any size. So email me, david@the2percent.com, with your size and mailing address. I only have small, medium, and large. So if you're bigger than that, buy it for your nephew or something, because it would be awesome to have a 2-year-old wearing a Please Be Quiet t-shirt. For this one, in the comment section, we'll try something new. Just leave me a question or an idea. It can be like sculpture, question mark, or why is public art boring, or what's up with frames? When did that become a thing? Or, man, I would love to see every artist ever that has done crazy things with flowers or ice or blood, or like, whatever your thing is, leave it in the comments. And if it inspires a video, however loosely it does, you'll win an awesome prize yet to be determined. Probably a t-shirt, but maybe a mug and an iTunes gift card or something great, just to say thank you. Again, thank you, and I'll see you back here in a month. So here's a crazy idea. So remember the art history book? What I would love to do is to make an art history book that looks like this, right? But like, every image is not the name of the artist, it's the name of the photographer of the image, because that's actually more accurate, right? And then the text is not about Impressionism or whatever, it's about the photographers of art, right?